fans, welcome to Sports Chat. John and Luke will be joining us shortly. But right now, I'm joined by Wartburg Central head football coach Rodney Ellison, and you brought two of your players, if you want to introduce them.
That's my right here. We have Don Laymance. He's a starting running back and outside linebacker for us, and a senior, and he's over one of the captains of our team. And over to the left is our quarterback, he's a junior, Austin Langley. Try to keep him off defense as much as possible so we can have a healthy quarterback.
Okay, guys, now, you all played in the same jamboree Campbell County did the other night. Played two top-notch teams in Anderson County and Clinton. And played with basically a thrown-together squad because of the number of injuries. Now, this week you traveled right up the road to Cumberland Gap High School to take on their old coaching mate, Sean Jesse, who, for whatever reason, couldn't make it today. But how are you looking health-wise going into the Cumberland Gap?
Well, we've been battling the last 2 weeks. The preseason's been really rough. Like I said, we had 8 starters out in the jamboree, and a total of 12 players not dressed. Only one of those is a season-ending injury so far. And the prognosis that the doctor gave me the other night, I don't know if it will be 100%, but we should have the 4 starting offensive linemen that have been missing the last week or so back, and we should get a couple of skill guys back. So if all that holds true, it's definitely going to help, and we're going to be a lot healthier going into the Cumberland Gap game, and that's a great thing because now everything counts.
That's tough having 4 or 5 linemen.
And it really showed. Austin can attest, he was running for his life a lot the last few scrimmages in the jamboree, and nothing against those backup linemen, but they're backups for a reason. One was a freshman, 2 of them were sophomores, and good players for the future, but just not ready yet.
On the upside, they got some valuable game-like experience in the jamboree.
They did, and hopefully that will build depth for the season, because there's going to be times when somebody gets hurt. That's part of football, or somebody needs to come out for a break, so hopefully they can step in and give us a few valuable snaps.
Now I've got to know this. You said you had 4 to 5 linemen. Was one of those for the center?
Yes, the only starter that we had was our right side tackle.
So it's tough having exchange with your backup center, and now you're going to have to get used to your regular center. Is that a pretty big adjustment for you?
Yeah. We wasn't used to snapping a lot, and we had a couple bad snaps that we could avoid it. Most of it, so one was my fault. I should just go on it. But I mean, he's got to learn. It's football. You always got to learn what you got to do. So.
Now, you run a lot of shotgun. You're almost exclusively being stand.
Yeah, we're in shotgun probably 98 or 99% of the time. We do have a few plays like our 26 special, and that being one we'll go under center, and occasionally we'll go under just to run an isolation play or something. But we really try to stay in the shotgun, and so it's very important to have a center that can make that snap.
Now, on the defensive side of the ball, you play obviously linebacker. That's the heart and soul of the defense. Now, how have injuries affected your defense this time?
Oh gosh, they just blow up our defensive line, and they open up big time runs. The day you just kick us out. We've got me and Nick, they're outside linebackers, they just kick us out and they're right up the middle.
It's really tough. I mean, if the offensive line can concentrate on the linebackers, that can make it really tough.
And we're running a 3-4, so our defensive linemen, those 3 down linemen, are really supposed to occupy the offensive linemen and take on double teams as much as possible so our linebackers can be free to make plays. And once again, we've got all those younger guys in, it's not taking a double team blocking out, but it's taking one-on-one blocks, and then there's,
Right, in the ideal world, in a 3-4, your nose guard should be occupying 2, sometimes 3 linemen.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Now, going up to Cumberland Gap, obviously, you're calling the offense. For the first time in a long time, Sean's calling the defense. What does Cumberland Gap do defensively?
Defensively, they run a multiple 40. It appears Sean looks like he wants to run a lot of cover 0 and bring a lot of pressure, which we invite that stuff with our style of offense. We want teams to do those things, especially if we have a healthy offensive line, which hopefully we will this next week. And But I know they know what to expect. They ran an offense very similar to ours the last few years.
Right.
They know what we're trying to do, so I'm sure he's got some things up his sleeves and up his sleeve for us.
Now, you said they ran the same type of offense. Are they still running that offense?
They have actually switched to a split back big, so we're going to have to play some assignment football and really concentrate on stopping the option.
That's a big change for Cumberland Gap.
Yeah, it is.
Now, this game's significant. This is the first time you've met in a regular season game against Sean as a high school coach.
Yeah, it's buddies don't like losing to each other, so we like to have some bragging rights against each other. It's a neat situation, but it's Wartburg versus Cumberland Gap, and although it'll be fun to talk about for me and Sean, in years to come.
It's going to be fun for me to write about. It really is.
Yeah, and all that stuff is great, but it's all about the 11 players that we had home in between the sidelines, the guys that are really fighting out there trying to win a losing ball.
Now, you're coming off as good a season as Wartburg football's had in a long time.
Yeah, we won 9 games, which is the most wins in school history. Went to the quarterfinals from the second time in school history. Had the highest scoring offense in school history with 30.6 points per game. They've been playing football there since 1945, so had a lot of good teams during that time. It's a major accomplishment. And, we throw the ball around a whole lot. I know people in Campbell County are getting accustomed to that with the Price twins, and we're pretty similar in that aspect. Not only throwing the ball, and I can let Austin talk about our receivers and stuff. He's got a bunch to throw to, and I know he loves being back there when he has time and hasn't had the offensive line to sling that ball around.
Well, let's talk about the offense for me now. This is your first year as a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Did you strictly act as a backup, or did you come in from another position last year?
I was strictly backup last year, but I mainly played starting safety last year.
So now you're coming in, taking over the offense. You've got some good targets to throw.
One is Jesse Dyer. He's 6'6", he's one of those people you can just throw it up to him and go get it. And we got some fast receivers. We've got 2 newcomers that just come in, Brandon Justice and Adam Susak. Adam played spring with us, and he was pretty good. And then Benjamin Poole, when he gets back, he's got good hands. And another one's Wes Mahorn and Henry Taylor. They're pretty big targets.
So things are looking really good as far as what you've got to throw.
Yeah.
Now, obviously you all are a passing first kind of team. What do you look like at running back? I know a lot of times you're spread out completely wide.
Yeah, we run a lot of single back, and that's where Don comes in. With West Melbourne, we really rely on our running backs to, number one thing, they've got to be able to pick up the blitz. They got to know
So pass protection.
Exactly. They got to be great pass protectors, and know who they're responsible for. Number two, we want them to be able to catch the ball. If they can't catch the ball, we want to have 5 eligible receivers in the play. If they can't catch, then we're not going to be able to use them as much as we would like to get them into open space. But one thing I love about Don is he's a very hard-nosed runner, and we hand him the ball. He can turn something that's not there into something pretty big because he can lower his shoulder and run over somebody. And even if it's supposed to be no game, he's still going to get 2 or 3 out of it because of the effort that he gives.
And keeping those feet with extra effort means a lot. Now on the defensive side of the ball, did you start last year on defense?
No, I transferred last year and put down for the season.
Gotcha. So you've had to wait to get back on the field. That's a terrible situation. I feel bad for you on that.
He transferred from Coalfield. He was able to practice with us. He just wasn't able to go through any games. So we saw right away that we had something special with the effort that he brought. He really made our offense better last year because he was the guy out there on defense that was really making us work for what we got.
Okay, so you came from Coalfield, so therefore, the rivalry must mean a lot to you. That's as big as it gets rivalry. You look at the big rivalries in East Tennessee, you got Bearden Fair is huge. Coalfield, Wartburg is huge. Those are storied rivalries. Sadly, Campbell County has nothing like that. We have Cardinals, but yet it's not as big a football rivalry as it is basketball. So getting to play that rivalry game is going to mean a lot.
Yeah, got a lot of talking to me about it. Ready to go for it.
And those are, you're playing these guys, I'm guessing you played football with most of your life.
Yeah, I played with them ever since I was little, but Coach Ellison was, coaching out there, and I talked again. It's a better football program overall.
Now you all,
He runs real hot ship. He's persistent and he's a real good
I-
coach.
believe me, I've coached with him. I know how, and I'll say this about Sean, even though he's not currently the head coach at Cumberland Gap. I've been in the locker room with these guys. I've seen how things have progressed. I mean, Luke, who's operating the camera for the time being, will be out for the next segment. And he's been in the locker room. It's a lot of it's how you run that program. A lot of that, you learn some stuff going through the Jacksboro program. I mean, you pick that up and you've taken it and ran it.
Yeah, I had the chance to learn under your dad and under Coach Bruce as well, and just worked for a lot of good coaches and really helped me get prepared. And, I've been fortunate to work under the guys I've worked under, and it's helped get me to where I'm at today. And, being able to be the coach for these young men here and several other men that, we don't have with us today. But Wartburg program, we've got it going in the right direction. If we get healthy, we'll be very competitive this year. And one thing, we've got several rivalries there. We have those 3 county schools. We've got Oliver Springs, which is a big rival, and now there's a big rivalry. Every week it seems like there's a big rivalry game.
Onai is such a story program.
They are. It's
I got to see on Friday night. Looks like they have a tough run.
Yeah, they're always going to be physical. They're always going to be big. They're going to try to run the football.
You look at Onai, in a quarter of football, between them and Campbell County, there was almost 300 yards of offense on that field.
Yeah, I'm hoping that means that Onai doesn't have to be a defense and throw the ball on us. But one thing, with all those rivalries, we try to just, I'm trying to get them. We lost to Cofield last year because the kids were so into the rivalry. Although it's a great rivalry, I'm trying to get our guys to just really look at it as it's just another ball game. Jellicoe's just as big as Cofield. Right now, Cumberland Gap's the only team we're worried about.
Now, even though Cumberland Gap is your main focus, you look at that. Obviously, you have a lot of ties to the Jellicoe program, family ties. That had to mean a lot last year, basically coming home.
Yeah, I grew up a lot there when I was younger in elementary school grades, all the way through 6th grade. But then, of course, my dad played there in the 70s. My grandfather played there in the 30s. So, yeah, it was special to coach on the field that they played on. And, even more special to know that we got a W on that field.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, you all play in a tough division. I was looking at the preseason top 10. Wartburg plays against both Sunbright and Cofield, who are ranked in the top 10 preseason.
Sunbright, Cofield, Oneida, and Oliver Springs. And Oliver Springs, Oneida. I know Oliver Springs was, I think Oneida was in the 2A top 10 as well. All 4 of those programs had basically everybody back from last year's team. They were all good teams last year, but they were young. Sunbright's had a lot of talent for the last couple of years, and that's their senior year, so I know we're going to work hard up there to make the years a little bigger for them. So our district is really loaded this year, and you combine that with the fact we picked up a tougher non-district schedule with Cumberland Gap, Kitchen Forge, who has 20 seniors on the team this year, and then Harriman and
Harriman's story program.
Harriman's story. Then Greenback is always a tough 1A team that's in the playoffs every year. They have a state championship with their resume. So
Well, that's how you get there.
yeah, and
You play those. The tougher team you play, the tougher you're going to be.
exactly. Hopefully, my goal when we scheduled Kitchen Forge, I was exactly the thing I did last year's playoff. Lost to Boyd Buchanan, a big physical team. I thought let's play some teams like that in the regular season. That way, if we're fortunate enough to make a run through the playoffs again, we run into Boyd Buchanan. It's not a big shock. We play teams like that already.
All right, now guys, we're going to wrap this segment up here shortly. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about this season? Do you feel like you've got a pretty good shot at being at least close to the level you were last year?
Yeah, we'll have a pretty big shot. And when we get our people healthy and everything, when we get stuff starts clicking again, we'll have a competitive team. It'll be hard to beat. We ain't gonna back down from anybody.
That's what I like to hear. I mean, defensively, I said you're going to be playing against, I know an Oneida team that has a really powerful running game. Cumberland Gap with that veer is a tough running game to do. You feel like your defense is ready to get out there and respond?
Yeah, we'll have all our linemen back. They're going to clog up stuff. our linebackers, we got some hard hitting linebackers, and all our, safeties, everybody's gonna be back, and we're gonna be a tough team to handle, we'll get everybody back, and, in training with each other.
Well, guys, thank you all for coming. Our next segment, Rodney here's going to stay with us. We're going to talk some more high school football. Luke and John will join us, and we'll be right back.